Okay, hello. This is a Q&A. I've talked about doing this a couple of times. I've done them in the past and that's totally fine. But a few weeks ago, I made a community post saying, hey, what questions do you want answered? And these are the questions you submitted. I can English really well. So I'll just be reading them off, answering them one by one. Hello, good morning, welcome to 2021. All right, so XX Kings, XX, asks, how did you get into Miraculous and when did you start watching the show? So, my Miraculous Ladybug origin story is a bit different than most people's. So, a number of years ago when I was in college, I was dating this boy. And then the boy broke up with me and I didn't really like that. And somehow in my grief, I decided that I would move to a foreign country and work in animation. And by foreign country, I meant France. So not only was I getting a bachelor's in music, but I was attending what is called anime school, which is an online animation school. And so, hey, do not attack the mask, please. No. No. I will throw this at you. Just kidding, I won't, I love you. We have a mask hanging on the door, and she was like, anyway. So I was also an animation student with the goal of like opening up my own studio one day. So I started looking at like animation studios in France, and at this time Miraculous Ladybug hadn't been released yet. We'd gotten some teasers about it, but like people knew about Miraculous Ladybug 3, 4, 5 years before the show ever came out because they'd been teasing spoilers about it, you know, like the 2D animation trailer and like instrumental music that they'd composed for it, etc., background, concept art, things like that. And the goal of, if I were to ever have my own animation studio, would be content made for adults that kids could enjoy. And so when I found out about Zag Entertainment and the Miraculous Ladybug project, I was like, oh, this is something I'd be very on board with. That's how I found out about Zag Entertainment. Did I apply? No. Did I move to France? No. Did I come back to my senses and realize it was just a breakup? It took me a bit. But that's how I found out about Miraculous Ladybug. Was back in the pre-production stage because I was an animation student who wanted to work in France. But when I started watching the show, early 2016, like the first few episodes had already come out. So, hello Iago. I have a ring light where she normally sleeps, so let's move that out of the way. Yeah, is that better? It's actually a vanity mirror with a light on it. Oh, that's an Instagram photo if I ever saw one. The cat in the frame. Okay, there we go. Don't knock off the camera, please. So, Random Content Watcher asks, since 2020 is coming to an end, how would you describe the year so far based on this channel? Explosive, and I mean that in a good way. There was a lot of really good growth, both in terms of subscriber count, but also just the average view count went up. I definitely suffered when the pandemic started, meaning all of my finances took a hit. Like in total, between all of the jobs that I worked, including YouTube revenue, I pulled in $300 for the month of April. And I didn't qualify for unemployment. So like it was rough. But looking at the months that I've had in September, October, November, December, those were all pretty good months for me financially. Both from the channel, from Patreon, from being a contract sushi chef, just doing commissions, things like that. It was a pretty good year financially, and a lot of that had to do with the channel and my education. Because of this channel specifically, I'm able to write off my education as a tax deduction. So basically, how tax deductions work in the United States for education, because I have a business and I'm going right now to get an associate's in digital media technology, which directly applies to this business, all of that tuition expenses, traveling, all of that, I can write it off as a business expense because it's directly related to my business. if I were to go to animation school, I wouldn't be able to write that off even if I used it for my business, because it's not the primary focus. If I made an animation studio and then I got the education, that would be a tax write-off. But because my channel is not rooted in creating animation, I couldn't do that, if that made sense. Anyway, so it's been a very explosive development. I found out literally on a live stream yesterday, one of the animation channels that I follow quite religiously, they've got like 3 times the subscribers that I do. They upload multiple times per week. Their view counts are pretty good, but I found out that they actually make 1/3 of what I make in YouTube revenue. And so like part of that is just different age groups, but also that was a real testament to me that the people who are watching my channel, thank you so much for watching those ads, because you know that it helps. I know that there's a lot of people who watch my videos who purposely don't click out of ads because they know that it helps. And honestly, thank you guys so much for that. Like, thank you so much. Anyway, so I hope that answers that question. I'm going to ramble for each of these. This is probably going to be like a 45-minute video. I'm so sorry. How much does your recording setup cost? So insert clip right here of my recording setup. Overall, it's not super expensive. The microphone was like $110. It's a Yeti USB stereo microphone. I have a black one, but Mr. Man is using it instead, so it breaks the aesthetic. The arm is probably, I don't know, 20 bucks for that, $10 for a pop filter, and then probably $40 or $60 in soundproofing. That's it. $10 for a chair. Table I got for free. So overall, my setup is probably less than 200 bucks. Not super expensive. So yeah. And I will have links to all of those things in the doobly-doo. So Winter Kitty asks, what career do you aim for? So I haven't hidden it at all. I was in a police academy earlier this year. I graduated the same week George Floyd was killed here in the US. He was killed the first day of my final scenarios, and that takes a week. And that changed a lot of things. A lot of the protests did a lot of good. But there are some consequences of the explosiveness of the protests, both in changing how things are approached from the police side of things, and also in the public's I can English really well, and also in how the public responds to police presence. Like, if people have very real and lasting police traumas, I can understand being hostile. That's totally fine. Now we've got the fire department driving by right now. But now there is a lot of hostility and refusing to cooperate, specifically from the younger generations who have never actually had their own police trauma, just as a means of rebellion. And while there's a time and a place for that, it's actually doing more harm than good. I've gone out on calls, they're called ride-alongs, and we'll be handling a situation just fine, very peaceful, and then somebody will come up and start just absolutely making a ruckus. And it'd be one thing if they were trying to keep the police in check, which is totally fine, but all they do is escalate a situation, make it worse, very explosive, no benefit to it, makes everyone upset and angry, and turns a yes person, the person the police were talking with, into a no person. So anyway, I'm pursuing a different form of education now. So we're gonna let things stabilize in the policing world before we think about it again. Miraculous Crybaby asks, what is your favorite fanfic you ever wrote? Strawberry Frappuccinos in a black leather jacket. I think it is the most clever storyline I have. I don't think it's my best writing. Vilma Santos, have you thought about writing your own original stories besides Ladybug fiction and sharing it on YouTube? So, writing original fiction, yes. I'm hoping to become an author on Tapas, which is an app where they're bite-sized chapters, so think like 800 to 1,000 words, which is the equivalent of like a 9-minute YouTube video for my videos, in updates, and people pay in Tapas Inc., which is the equivalent of like a quarter or 30 cents to read that chapter. but they do have options where you can like watch ads to get that ink instead, or download apps or things like that. I think that would be a very good transition into original writing, but we'll see. I've got a couple of things that I could use for that. I'm focusing on finishing so much fan fiction that I don't have time to write original content. Lucy Carolyn, how do you manage your time to keep up with the schedule and do other life things? I pulled 2 all-nighters in the month of December. I'm not the best person to ask this question to. Who is your favorite voice to play? When I get Cat Noir right, he is my favorite. But I don't always do him right. Princess Pinkheart, what inspired you to do Miraculous fanfictions, and who's your favorite non-canon ships? So first of all, what inspired me to do fanfictions? Money. Homegirl, I have so much debt. Money. Basically, I wanted to do original fiction, but it's really hard to break into that world if you don't already have a fan base. So how do you get a fan base? Write fan fiction. And I found out that Thomas Astruc would not sue me, Jeremy Zach would not sue me if I wrote fan fiction about their stories and monetized it, aka YouTube revenue. So that was cool, and that's why I started, and that's why I'm in the Miraculous Ladybug sector as far as fan fiction writing goes. So I didn't get sued. Your favorite non-canon ships? Anything with Chloe, honestly. Anything with Chloe. Also, Chloe's mom with Gabriel. Audrey and Gabriel. Chloe got me, really turned me on to that one. Like, I know she's married, so like, obviously, like, I don't condone cheating. But there's definitely been some, alluding that Audrey was interested in Gabriel at one time in the show. So I'm like, yeah, I can see it. That's hilarious. Miraculous Zindy, where do you get your ideas about videos? A combination of things. I've learned that the parts about my videos that people most enjoy are little tidbits from my own life. But I write all of my stories to the artwork that I have. Lucy, oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher this. Lucy Pettijohn, where do you get the majority of your writing inspiration? Also, I presume you're a reader based on what you do, so what is your favorite book / series? These questions tied together, lol. So, my writing inspiration is money. So, oops. And I do consume a lot of books specifically because I write. So my favorite book right now, I've read it probably 6 or 7 times over the last 2 years, is called The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. It does have a sequel and a novella, and they have a 3rd one coming out, but the sequels are from Henry Montague's, the main character's siblings. It's not necessarily, like, it's a continuation of the first book, but it also is a standalone. So, and they complement each other. But my favorite series right now is, I think it's called A Curse So Dark and Lonely. It's definitely fantasy romance, but it is basically about a girl who, like, she's disabled, but she's kind of able-bodied. I think she has multiple sclerosis. I'm not entirely sure. Basically, girl gets transported from this world into fantasy world. And it's just really, really well done. It's kind of like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but also not. Like, that's how they marketed it, but that's not how I would market it. Anyway, so yeah. Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. And as far as series goes, the Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. Apparently it's how you say it. So, next question. What inspires you to make videos that are very good but different at the same time? Money. But to elaborate on that a little more, you cannot write about life if you do not live life. I mentioned earlier that what people most enjoy are tidbits from my actual life, and they just don't realize it. So basically, me having life experience is a bonus in and of itself. That's like one of the most quoted lines is from that, like, that gets the most reaction of, is in a 2-part called How Dare You, which is based off of a guy just really toying with my feelings. But in real life, I called up my friend who knew about it, and he showed up past curfew at my apartment It's like 2:30 in the morning and he drives up and goes, let's go get some redacted chicken McNuggets. And that made it into the story and people loved it and people quote it all the time when they watched those videos. So life inspires me, but also money. Margaret, I just wanted to know who your favorite Kwame is. Plag, hands down, Plag. How did you first get into the Miraculous Ladybug show? Call me Baby Yoda, asked and answered, but thank you for putting multiple questions in different comments. How much do you think you have improved over time with your fan fictions? Heckin'. I have improved heckin'. Do you love making Miraculous fan fiction? How did you start doing it? Asks Ashley Alvarado. I do like it. I don't want to do it forever. Just, you know, that's not a good career move for me. I do really enjoy it, and it's given me a platform that if I wanted to go do other things, I can do that. It's given me a lot of potential power, and I don't mean power like power, but like it's good for me in the long term. And Devin Miller, how do you think people will react on TikTok when they find out that Green Onion Yeet Girl is a fabulous fanfic writer? Thank you for calling me fabulous. The first few of my TikTok videos are all fanfiction related, so. Kira Frack, why you had to make me cry with your fanfic, with your Marrying Shot home series? Like, for real, I'm sitting in my bed crying. I love your story so much, but why they gotta be so emotional? Because if you don't have darkness, you do not appreciate the light. Miraculous Lovebirds, who's your favorite cat character? Cat Noir. Least favorite character? Mark. I'm sorry, lots of reasons behind that, but we're not gonna get into that. Why would you get akumatized and what would be your power? Probably off of a dumb comment, not gonna lie. I would have a very petty power. Couldn't tell you what though. Who's your biggest inspiration or what started you to start to write? Ask Mary Beth Casey. Money. Money is my biggest motivation, but I've also got more than 6 digits of debt, and that doesn't include my mortgage. So, Alyssa Fajardo, how did you get into Miraculous Ladybug? Answered, do you plan on having a career besides your channel? Yes. Some people know about it already, but I'm a little hesitant to talk about it until it happens because I need more education to make it happen. Do you plan on having a career? What school do you plan on going to? That? You got me. So right now, I need to change the battery. So right now I'm going to a tech college for an associate's in digital media technology. I already have a bachelor's in music and a technical diploma in police science. But while I'm doing that, I am getting a couple more degrees and certificates as I do it. I'll be getting a drone certificate and I'm getting a professional recording certificate as I get my digital media technology degree. I'm hoping to see if I can double dip and get an associate's in graphic design, but I'm not sure. I do also want to they have an entrepreneur associate's degree, which would be very, very useful to me. So I'm playing my cards. I might get a social media certificate as long as I'm there, and I know that sounds like a lot, but once you start taking classes or once you start and you get one degree, every single degree is easier. So like, yes, I'm getting a digital media technology degree. It would only be an extra like 8 classes to get a digital media technology degree. Like in an extra 5 more months, I could have another associate's degree. Same with like the digital media certificate or social media certificate. Just in my course programs, I fulfill 3 out of the 4 requirements for that certificate. So if I take 1 extra class, boom. Anyway, but once we're done with that, I'm hoping to go back to animation school. But because I'm going through an animation school program and not a bachelor's, because those are heckin' expensive, I want to get more knowledge about like lighting and transitions and physics from the school that I'm currently attending, because I know that those things, they'll be touched upon, but you can't go in depth in them the same way you can with an in-person lighting studio. So, the masks we wear update. Working on other projects first. I really do. I love the masks we wear, but it uses such a different writing style that it has to be the only thing I write, otherwise it'll bleed into everything and editing takes way more time. How much do the Kwami experience while transformed? Can they feel, hear? Could they speak to their heroes? My dude, you gotta ask Thomas Astruck on that one. Heck if I know. Samuel Anno, why do you like Miraculous? Good banter between the leads, family friendly origin, Catboy. When did you start writing fanfiction? Technically October 2016, but realistically November 2016. Why did you do that and what was the story you wrote? Money! And strawberry frappuccinos and a black leather jacket. Is YouTube your full-time job now? Yeah, no. Social media and content production is my full-time job right now. I'm also a full-time student. So yes, the majority of my time when I'm working does go to the YouTube channel, absolutely. But I'm working on projects that you guys just don't know about yet. I'm doing other social media things. I'm doing stuff for the KDP program. I do stuff for Instagram and Twitter and the like. I'm trying to get a Twitch channel started. Follow me at Mira Rose me on Twitch. We do listening parties now every single weekend where you log on to Twitch, you go to my live stream, and we as a community binge watch one of the series that are on the channel, and we talk about it, and people can ask me questions like what inspired you to do that scene. Anyway, twitch.tv at Mira Rose ME. So Nadia Bakash, I'm sorry I said that wrong. Do you think you will ever get fed up with Miraculous Ladybug? Bold of you to assume I'm not already. Riley Matthews asks, have you ever written fan fiction and posted it on sites like AO3 or Wattpad? Yes, I don't do that anymore because one, if I want to make money off of it, it has to get the YouTube ad revenue, so why would I compete with myself? But also, every time that I post the text for my story somewhere, somebody reposts it, claims it as their own, it says, no, I mean, I wrote it, it's just a parody of hers, things like that, and just, we're bored of that. We don't like dealing with copyright infringement. Even though they're not my characters, it's still copyright infringement if you steal someone's fanfic, so. Kinsey Allen, what made you want to become a sushi chef? This is a story. I did not want to become a sushi chef. So little old me, 16 years old, parents say, go get a job. And I'm like, ugh, and they're like, go get a job. I'm like, okay. I started playing on Craigslist. Because like that was where at the time, I'm so old, I'm not old but I'm old, that's where you went for job postings, was Craigslist, at least in this area. And I saw that a sushi place was hiring and I'm like, no. Like, I already speak Japanese. The last thing I need is like the white girl working in the sushi restaurant stereotype, because like, while I already speak Japanese while not being of any kind of Japanese descent. Somehow I ended up in that part of town, so I walked in for an application just to be like, to my parents, like, this is how many jobs I applied to that day. I walked in and the owner was at the front desk and she goes, I really like you. And I'm like, I want to be a dishwasher. And she goes, no, you're going to be a hostess. And I was like, wait, what? And she goes, I'll pay you $8.50 an hour, which in 2012, 2013, that was really good. I had the best paying job of all my friends. Right now, they pay their hostesses $15 an hour, which on one hand, that's really good, but like, the job has gotten even easier for them, and I worked my tail off for $8.50 less than a day. What's the whole thing? Like, I'm happy for them, but also, anyway, I'm glad wages are increasing for people. That's wonderful. But we had a shortage of sushi chefs. So I did that for them. That's one of the reasons why the hostess is making 15 right now is kind of irritating, because I worked my tail off as a sushi chef doing way more and they paid me $9.50 while they were paying their hostesses $15. And I worked both jobs. I would be a hostess over a sushi chef any day in terms of work and customer service. But anyway, that's just my personal self. So I never wanted to be a sushi chef, it just kind of happened. I'm Nicole Bruce. How did you start the channel? What obstacles did you face in the beginning? How did you get so much inspiration to write and keep writing? Because like, well, money. And the obstacles are time. There was like a large chunk of this channel's history where I wasn't uploading consistently because I was working 3 jobs and working like 80, 90 hour weeks. And also there are times where I want to go record and there's too much noise. So there are so many times where I post an upload schedule and I wasn't able to complete the upload schedule, not because I didn't have the scripts, but because I couldn't record. Because either my voice wasn't ready when there was time and no noise, or when my voice was ready, there was too much noise. So, thoughts on the New York special, Lisa Yadam? I don't like that they kind of, so in the Origins episodes, it's kind of implied that superheroes are like super rare if they exist at all. And then you get the New York special where it's like, everybody's a superhero, you got power, you got power, you got power. And I get why they did that in terms of like, wow, it's so cool that in America, people don't need to hide their identities. I get why they did that, but you just kind of shot yourself in the foot with your own canon. Anyway, thoughts on the season 3 finale? I agree with Chloe's actions, honestly. Ladybug screwed Chloe over again and again and again and again, and I am not surprised that finally Queen Bee went, you know what, I'm gonna go with someone who actually, even if they don't appreciate me, at least they value me somewhat. I don't blame Chloe at all. I think she's absolutely in the right, because regardless of Marinette's personal feelings for Chloe, Ladybug treated Chloe very, very poorly. She didn't even respect her enough to give her the time of day to formally say you were not going to be a superhero anymore. Chloe had to hear that through the grapevine, despite continually sticking up for Ladybug during that time period. So I have a lot of feelings on Chloe. I love her so much. If you didn't do Ladybug, what would you do? I'd be a cop. What is your goal? Make money. What is your favorite character in Miraculous Ladybug? Cat Noir. Thank you for the questions, Boon Chan. Risa made, I love you, Risa, by the way. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Out of curiosity, do you write fan fiction about other shows? Also, I have a Yuri on Ice channel that has 2 videos on it, and that's it. That's from like 2016. But no, I don't. Bernice Vasquez, how do you find the words to describe how a character is feeling? I analyze what it feels in my own life. When I've had that feeling, what is a good physical description of it? What's a good metaphor for it? Louis Nicole, do you project your Starbucks edition into your fanfic, or is it just a convenient go-to? It's just convenient. It's easy for people to picture. Sometimes it even makes them bond to the channel, because it's like, oh, I like that too. That's a thing we both like. And then they get that good, happy endorphin rush. Somebody commented the other day, they're like, but France doesn't have Starbucks, like, cool and whatever, but like, obviously you're an American. And I'm like, there are 69 Starbucks locations in Paris proper, not including Paris Metropolitan. Like, before you call me an American implying that I'm uneducated, please go look it up yourself. Anyway. KK, do you want 2020 to end? I had a very good 2020, but other members of my household had a horrible 2020. I don't think that 2021 is going to be any better unless we as a people decide to force it better. Because otherwise there's no difference between January 2021 and December 2020. So, man, this ring light is really washing me out, but it's too far away to like turn down without getting up. Michaela, how did you get into recording a voiceover for your stories instead of just posting your work on Wattpad or Archive of Our Own? So what I do didn't exist 4 years ago. All of these other channels that have popped up doing other forms of podfic audio fics came after me. What I do, and people who've been here a long time can attest, nobody did what I did when I was doing it. And basically it was, how do I make money off of this thing that I'm doing? And the answer was YouTube. What is your favorite non-common, most miraculous ship? Again, anything with Chloe. Thank you, Taylor Long. Liz White, why'd you put this question on your video? What's your zodiac sign? I'm a Virgo. Electra Kudiner? Will you ever write stories outside of fan fictions? Writing your own original superheroes, writing stories on that. I want to. What do you think the meaning of life is? Znab Ahmad. To be happy. Out of all the fan fiction that you've written, which is your favorite, most memorable? I think Strawberry Frappuccinos is the most clever. The Masks We Wear does have a ton of potential. The Sound of Your Voice, which you guys haven't seen yet, is fun. And We Should Have Tea Together is actually one that I'm really liking. But again, you guys haven't seen the We Should Have Tea Together. Favorite food, or when you listen to a song, do you focus more about the message that the song is giving or the melody, lyrics? X Lunja Gotcha. Sorry, I said that wrong. Favorite food, carbs. I don't like seafood, but I do like fried shrimp. And I absolutely 100% listen to the lyrics story than I do the melody or the background music, which is one of the reasons why Taylor Swift is very far up there in my favorite artists, because she is what's called a confessional storyteller. Savannah, what do you do if your cat is in love with Cat Noir, but Cat Noir is in love with Ladybug, but Ladybug is in love with Adrian? You cry. Lucy Good, why did you decide to start this channel and writing fanfiction? Money. What originally got you into writing fanfictions? Ask Frostbitten Tricks. Money. Which books did you read as a teen? Ooh. Shugochara? Everything by Clamp? I kind of stopped reading books when I was a teenager, not gonna lie. Skip Beat. These are all manga though. Just because of what I got into. We don't need to talk about my teenage life. Favorite Chloe quote. Oh, I'd have to look this up. Ooh, also, my hair! There's nothing worse in this world than a bad hair day. First, Ladybug breaks my new jacket. Second, you totally ruined my hair. Just go ahead and change me already. This day can't get any worse. Was also a really good. Oh, how brilliant am I? Even that dimwit Marinette likes the idea. Wait a minute. Marinette never likes my ideas. I think you've all been duped. And then the immediate follow-up. Cut! I knew it. Well played, Marinette. All that speech about working together, then you stabbed me right in the back. These are all from the same episode. Anyway, I love Chloe. I love Chloe so much. Naira Johnson, why don't you use your real name anymore? And if people know it, why can't they call you by it? So my real name has never been on this channel. What I assume you're talking about is Eleanor Rose. So, branding. So Eleanor Rose is not my real name. It is a name that I went by on this channel, but I started running into problems because there's a clothing brand also called Eleanor Rose. So when I'd reach out for brand sponsorships or people would reach out to me on social media, sometimes it would never make it to me. They'd send it to the clothing brand. And that's literally cost me money. Or vice versa, they think I'm a clothing brand and they reach out to work with me and I can't provide. So I had to change my branding to Mira Rose, and Mira is what the channel called me before I came up with any kind of name. So the whole why can't people call you by it? One, it's not my name, and two, I don't want to continue false branding. Okay, so moving forward, I want to be recognized as Mira Rose in the social media world linked to this channel, and cutting back to Eleanor Rose will just continue to confuse people. So there's a lot of people who continue to try and call me Eleanor in spite of me asking them not to, because they think it's my real name and they think, well, I'm special, I know her name. Like, no, it's not true. It's not my name. It never was, it never will be. It's a branding mishap. So hope that clears that up. I'm not like angry at you, by the way, just I have to, whenever people go, oh, thanks, Eleanor, and I used to respond very politely, like, hey, please don't call me that, but certain people will continue to call me that despite me asking them not to. So now whenever someone calls me it, I just shut it down right away. That is not my name. Do not call me by that. What is your aesthetic? Classic academia, but also dark academia, but also pastel, ooh, gamer, but also horticulture gardens, but also Tudor style homes. Do you find Marinette's creepiness problematic? How do you deal with haters? From Aishani. Season 1, no, not problematic. Everything after that, yes. At first, despite being male writers, they did actually pin down a somewhat obsessive teenage crush very well in the first season, but then they started really leaning into it in 2 and 3 and not in a realistic way. So, how do you find inspiration for your writing? Money! Like, ooh, my AdSense is not making enough. What kind of clickbait can we put in? How about a Mary Chat kiss? That'll get me clicks. Won't be a great story, but it'll get me clicks and people will view ads. How do you manage your daily life and make videos? Miss Nita, I wish I knew. Nitya, excuse me, I said that wrong. Gina Abraham, how do you get your ideas of making fanfics? I write to the art that I have. Carolina, I'm new. Are you in a relationship? Yes. It is the least romantic relationship I have ever been in, though. Feels more like a roommate than a friend. Okay, so that is that. Thank you all so much for sticking with me for this video. I'm gonna go edit this. It's gonna be long. I'm gonna cry. But thank you so much. I will catch you guys in another video, and don't forget to watch ads, please. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment if you made it all the way to the end. Comment outro, squad. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!